circling the idea. I think it's just a question of, negotiations, coming to terms, or I don't know. I mean, look, it's above my pay grade.
Yeah, right.
It's kind of like when you're getting a ride in your parents' car. You're kind of like, your parents are like, yeah, we might take you to the amusement park, and you're like, cool, when are we leaving? And then they just don't answer you. In 2006, I met Springsteen. I snuck backstage at the Dodger Stadium concert here in LA. And I told Bruce that I wanted to portray him in a movie one day with his blessing. He put his arm around me. He looked at John Landau, his manager, and he goes, what do you think? Do you think we look alike? And Landau was speechless, and Bruce didn't say no. So in my opinion, I have a yes.
Hi, this is Terry Draper from Klaatu.
Hey, this is Paul Chastain.
I'm Brendan O'Hare. I used to be in Teenage Fan Club.
Vic from Star Collector.
Bowen Rat.
Jim Terrell.
Josh Bradley.
Paul Collins of The Nerves, The Breakaways, and The Beat.
I'm Frankie Siragusa, and you're tuning in to Unlikely Places Pop and Rock Radio Show with Vinyl Man Jeb.
Let's just have a chat down here.
You're listening to Mad Wasp Radio.
Ow. Hey everybody, this is your host, Vinyl Man Jeb of Unlikely Places podcast. Now, we're usually here with some rock star. Well, this one still is a rock star. We got Thomas Ian Nichols here, who's actor, musician, all this stuff. Well, welcome to the show, Thomas, first of all. How are you?
Yeah, man. I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Good. And just excited to have one of my favorite movie stars from American Pie. Here's Kevin Myers in the flesh. But it's just so exciting that you did a song now with Bowling for Soup, paradising Bowling for Soup, and we were just talking about a little bit before I started hitting the record button here, but we're gonna get straight. I start off all my shows with the same question, but I wanted to also congratulate you on joining the Producers Guild of America. That's really cool. Also, that's awesome. But when did making music become part of your life?
I mean, it's been a part of my life for a long time. Granted, I started acting in 1986. I've been playing music since 1994. So music's been and songwriting has been a part of my daily for a long time.
Very cool. And it's just part of it's cool to see the soundtrack. And I saw the Frat Party album that you did doing covers of the American Pie soundtrack. And that just turned 23, correct?
Yeah, the first American Pie was 23. It's funny because we're working on our 7th album right now. And obviously we have the Frat Party album. So out of and really there's 3 before that I just don't count. I call that school. So
gotcha.
I destroyed all copies of the first 3 albums I ever made. And we're talking thousands of copies.
Wow.
And so, but the thing is out of those 10 albums that I've done, only one of them is a cover album. And the rest of them is all, original stuff.
Very cool.
But for a big time, a long time, we were like, we don't do covers. We only play originals. And then we got offered this tour over in the UK. They're like, they want 70% covers. And we're like, we're not interested. How much? Oh, 2,000 cap rooms, sold out shows, 10 shows. Do we get to pick our own covers? And then that's where we incepted the Frat Party idea.
Oh, very cool. Because then at least you're doing it with something that's still part of your life and still part of the...
Exactly.
Nobody's telling you what to play. No, I play local bars around here and I do some restaurants and stuff. And they're like, well, what covers does he do? So my manager, throws it out. And I said, well, I do everything from Leonard Skinner all the way up, whatever pleases. But I prefer to do originals because I have 3 hours worth of original material every time I'm live. And, they only want 2 hours. So I get to shuffle the songs around and whatever. And they're like, well, can you do it? And I'm like, I'm going to do the Clone High theme song. That's what I'm going to do. Try to mess around with other stuff. Bring back the 90s and early 2000s, please. But stuck in the realm here, I'm like, I don't listen to a lot of newer stuff, but it's good to see Def Leppard's charting again. Stranger Things is bringing things back like No Tomorrow, so it's fun to see all this kind of turn of the VHS era coming back, which is very interesting. But I wanted to go back in time to when you were a lot younger, and we're going to start off with your movie career. I definitely want to start off with Rookie of the Year. How did you get the opportunity to star in that movie?
I just like American Pie, I auditioned for it. I used to go on anywhere from 100 to 200 auditions a year.
Wow.
So that was, one of many. In fact, I didn't get a call back the first time and happened to be switching agents.
Oh, wow.
So my new agent said, hey, I got this audition for Rookie of the Year. I said, I already went on that one. They said, well, they obviously don't remember you, so go again. And, here we are 29 years later, and people are showing, their kids all about hand, re, row, and Rowengartner.
And I just love the fact that, all the freaking getting to work with John Candy. How was that? I mean, that's got to be something so special, too.
John Candy's role was not in the original script.
Really? Oh, wow.
They added that on 3 months after we finished filming in Chicago and shot that on the lot here in Los Angeles at Fox Studios.
Oh.
And a lot of that stuff, I think Danny said, was, a lot of improv and things. So I never met John Candy.
Oh, okay.
Until a year after, like when the film came out, I ended up getting offered to do a PSA with John Candy and then hung out with him for like one afternoon. And he was the nicest guy ever. Like after we were done working, I stayed in he had a studio in Hollywood. He had bought the bar from Only the Lonely that was in the front room. And him and my mom hung out and just talked for 4 hours. And I played video games with his son, who was 2 years younger than me.
Very cool. Yeah, I've always been a fan of John Candy growing up, of course, with Spaceballs. And I'm 22, but my dad's 67 and my mom's a little older too. Or she's younger than my dad, but she's around the same age there. And it's interesting to grow up with parents that are a lot older because you have a lot of the older stuff to look forward to. And I grew up with Spaceballs and Canadian Bacon and stuff like that. So I finally got around to watching Rookie of the Year, actually with them 4 days ago. We finally got around to watching it on streaming. And I was like, I missed out on a movie I love because I love Daniel Stern too. And the amount of times he gets trapped in a door or something was because that was his humor. That's the slapstick. It was so cool to see that. And you guys just did thing with Jarrett, right? You guys did the Goes to Movies spinoff there in person with a watching of Rookie of the Year, correct?
Yeah, so this is, two things. First, the reason Danny kept trapping himself in all those spots as Brickma was so that he could just be directing the film and not have to be running back and forth. So he would strategically trap Brickma right before a really big moment in the storytelling that he could focus on directing. I
did not know that. That is very awesome. Oh, that's because that's a way of writing that you don't expect, That's pretty cool.
That's the birth, of creativity and compromising and finagling all the parts and moving all the chess pieces. But then, in regard to Jarrett Reddick, the lead singer of Bowling for Soup, we've now bookended our experience. I've done 3 episodes of Jarrett Goes to the Movies. Mm-hmm. The very first one was for American Pie, which was also with a live audience. And that is where the idea for 1999, the parody of 1985, was incepted. We got done watching the movie. We were feeling nostalgic. We played a show together afterward. He plays 1985. He goes, he was just kidding around, as Jarrett does. If you've ever seen a Bowling for Soup,
oh yeah,
really fun on stage.
Oh yeah, I love Bowling for Soup.
Amazing. He just goes, we should sing lyrics about American Pie. So we tried it, and I think that's all it meant to him. But I took it to heart. So the next day, I worked on the lyrics for an hour and a half and sent him a big text message. He goes, "Oh, that's really funny. We should do a TikTok." And then that's where it lived. And then a month later, I get to Baltimore for a charity event for Rookie of the Year to raise money for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society.
Oh, very cool.
I land in Baltimore and I get a text from Jarrett. "Hey, are you in Baltimore?" I'm like, "Yeah, are you in Baltimore? What's going on?" He's like, "What are you doing tomorrow night?" So I look at his Instagram. I'm like, "Oh, snap, they're playing a show." So I go, need a surprise opener, LOL. And then he said yes, because he's amazing and the nicest guy ever.
Oh, yeah.
So I got so excited. I'm sitting in my hotel room, just totally excited that I'm going to go open up for Jarrett and Rob in Baltimore. So I decide I'm going to film the TikTok by myself. So I film the TikTok. It gets 500,000 views. I go, "Jarrett, look, I did the TikTok of 1999, with all the things we were talking about." And he goes, "Oh, you should come to Dallas. Let's punch up the lyrics and we'll record it."
That's awesome.
Yeah, it just was it just snowballed from there. And it's also because Jarrett and I became for lack of a better term, insta best friends. Mm-hmm. We just kind of hit it off.
You have that chemistry that's instant, whereas you meet them, I feel like you've known them for years type thing. Feels like it's just
totally what happened.
You can hear it in the song
did the
too.
Rookie of the Year event
that's awesome.
In Dallas, 2 days after my birthday.
Oh wow!
And Jarrett, of course, and his wife threw me a party at their house for my birthday.
Oh, that's awesome.
Casey got balloons and everything. I'm I haven't had balloons in 12 years.
Oh, that's amazing. I get to be a kid again. That's awesome. Yeah, they when they came around to the Space Ballroom in Hamden, I was at that show. It was just Rob and Jarrett doing a solo acoustic run, and it was amazing just to hear them and see them. I saw Bowling for Soup live at an Apple Fest for free here in Connecticut, and it was just amazing. I played Magic the Gathering, and the owner of one of the shops was like, "You want to go to the Bowling for Soup show?" I'm like, "Yes." Am I living in the 90s again? Let's go. So it was a lot of fun. Shout out to Ree on that one, but just so much fun being able to go to all these shows. And then all of a sudden, Jarrett, at the end of the show, he knows Frankie Saragusa from LA. Frankie's a good friend of mine. He's from a band called The Posies. He was the drummer for a little bit before everything went downhill with them. And they're the reason why my show became what it was. I was very close to all those guys. That includes John Auer and Frankie, and then Ken at the time as well. And it just, Jarrett knew about all that stuff, and so like he heard me from the crowd go, "Oh, you know Frankie." He actually in the middle of the show was like, "Who said that?" And he looked at me and he goes, "Yeah, Frankie's awesome." And so he signed my hat and everything, and I had his tour manager, also the beer guy, Dave, there. He signed my hat too. So it was really cool to meet everybody and just kind of for a couple seconds, but it was fun, and I got my hat signed, so I was pretty happy. It's an old MTV hat, so it was pretty cool. And we'll move in.
That's awesome.
Since my question there was awesome, sorry. Since my question just recently you just answered, which was perfect, was just about the hype around the song and how it came to be. I'm going to move into going back in time. You mentioned going to many roles, and that's how you kind of got into American Pie. How did landing the role as Kevin in American Pie kind of change your life and become part of who you are?
In a lot of ways. I mean, the first and most prevalent for me is the transition from being a kid actor into a young adult career, which is, kind of like the eye of the needle, so to speak. Meaning that I think it's a percentage of it's 3% of kid actors that transition into a young adult career.
Oh, wow.
So I'm very thankful for American Pie for that reason alone. And then further than that, it obviously became another sleeper hit, just like Rookie of the Year. And I say sleeper hit because both films, they didn't do Marvel numbers on opening weekend. That's not how they weren't tentpole movies. They were sort of like, they came out, they did okay, but the word of mouth kept them alive and kept them in
they're like cult
classics
that kept them going.
They just had like a slow, like a steady rise, to where it just kept making the same number every weekend for like 10 weeks on both films. And that's why they call them a sleeper hit. So the success of that film, has opened up so many opportunities for me. I mean, look, I wouldn't be working with Bowling for Soup if it wasn't for American Pie.
Right.
So
I always feel
nothing to sing about.
Yeah, I would just be like, I'm Kevin and in some movie at some point. But it's it's one of those things that have always been like one of the movies that I feel like is passed down to kids when they're going through a rough time, where the father's like, if he's cool and hip, he'll be like, hey, you should check out American Pie, but don't tell your mom, kind of movie. And then it becomes that it gets passed down since that time. And it was funny because I kind of came across of it after kind of getting on a binge of trying new things, if you get my drift, and we were all like hanging out, and this one guy was like, you got to watch this, and I'm just like, what is it? And it's American Pie, and we watched the first one, and then I came home and I went to the flea market, and they have like the $1 DVD bins, and it was like, all right, I'm gonna grab a couple, and then I realized that they have the reissue on Blu-ray with all 4 films, and I'm gonna be getting that soon because I just want to watch all 4 in nice HD instead of the usual what is like 720p on the DVD. But it was just so much fun, and just became part of like my journey in trying to figure out who I am too. It's a coming of age kind of movie as well. I mean, it is, and for me it would help through a lot because I've been going through a lot, and I just saw the film and it distracted time, and then it was like, I actually really like this movie. I mean, Stifler's an asshole and I love it. But it's just so cool. And I do have some fun trivia questions for you about the movie to test you on your knowledge. I don't know if you would like to try those for fun if you had time to do so. So I got some of them are easy. There's only 3. One of them's, I think, easy, so we'll throw it that way. So in honor of the 23rd birthday of American Pie, here we go with some trivia for you. We'll start with an easy one. What was Kevin's girlfriend name?
Vicky Latham.
Oh yeah, correct. Dingo. If I had like the bingo noise button there. Maybe I'll have my editor add the effect in later. Oh, exactly. I have an editor that could do that for me. For the Don't Jeb and Drive podcast. Oh, and you'll have to put the button in there. And then the next one was, what did Kevin learn how to do in the Bible?
Tornado, which was originally entitled The Satin Buzzsaw.
That's right.
But it was a It was a copyrighted term and we couldn't use it.
Oh, really? Interesting. Where was it copyrighted from?
In a sex manual.
Oh, there you go. Oh, that's funny.
Satin Buzzsong is a trademarked term. So
did not know that.
Adam Hurst came up with Tongue Tornado.
Oh, that's awesome. And then the next one was, what is the most popular song on the American Pie soundtrack? Should know this one, I think.
My song, My Generation. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, it's good. That's a great song.
I'm on the American Reunion one. Most popular song on
the original first movie soundtrack, it looks like, is what they're asking.
But I mean, like, now when they say soundtrack, do they mean all the soundtrack or the soundtrack actual album that was released?
I think it's the album with the songs, like with the bands and stuff. Because I found this online. I don't even remember the website, but it was like 23 questions, and I don't even know when they did it, but it was perfect for this idea. But I only like took 3 of them.
It's gotta be James Van Laid.
They put Tonic, You Wanted More, apparently, but I don't,
Okay.
I could see that being big, but that's a great song too. But I always thought it would be like The Offspring or something. Well, that's the second movie though, right? With The Offspring, I think it might have been American Pie 2.
From the first soundtrack, you've got, Third Eye Blind,
yep.
Bare Naked Ladies.
Yeah, I mean, they're a lot bigger than Tonic.
I mean,
yeah.
So there's so many. That's a tough call.
That is. Because I honestly would say it was Bare Naked Ladies or one of the others. Because Tonic to me was like the classic. You get the single cassette of that one song, and I don't know if it was You Wanted More, but it could have been a different song by them. You don't really remember them as well. Their history, though, I love Tonic. They're one of my favorites.
No, listen.
Yeah.
Friends with Dan Lavery. I wrote my 3 best songs on my first album with Dan Lavery.
Oh, that's awesome.
Tonic.
Oh, that's awesome. I love Tonic.
And then obviously we covered You Wanted More on the Frat Party album. But you know why I think it is probably the most popular and why it was the answer to that question? They did the music video that they shot in high school, and Jason Biggs and Allison Hannigan were in the music video.
That makes sense. So they probably promoted that song the most because of that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Oh, I love Tonic. They're one of my favorites. I actually have one of the single cassettes, and I'm not sure what song it is. I can't remember. It might be You Wanted More, possibly, but I can't remember exactly. But I've been a big fan of Tonic.
Could be If You Could Only
that one. That's it.
The way. Yeah.
That's a classic.
I saw them play that one at Almost Acoustic Christmas.
Ooh.
K-Rock Almost Acoustic Christmas in 1995.
I wasn't even born yet. I was born in 1999. I was like, this song is now going to be my anthem, even because like the movie and I are a month apart age-wise. I'll be 23 on August 8th. So I'm like, this is funny. This is like the movie that I could say is my birth year movie. So it's funny to me. I'm just following. I'm one of the ones that is keeping it going on, keep it going through the generations because I'm younger and like trying to, boast about it. But man, I wish I was in the 90s. I tell my dad that every day. I'm like terrible about it. I'm like, I don't belong here. But maybe I do because I'm doing all this cool stuff that might not have been possible in the 90s, Were any of the spin-offs for American Pie, when they were being made, were you guys asked at all to be a part of them? Or how did that go about?
Not the first one.
Mm-hmm.
I finally got asked to do one of them. I can't remember which one it was. But at the time, I already knew that Adam Hurst had talked to me about doing the reunion film.
Mm-hmm.
And so I knew that was kind of like a spinning plate. And I said no because I didn't know what my character's story was going to be. Like, I didn't know where Adam was going to put Kevin. So I was like, well, if I go do this other film, even though they're not really related to us, they're sort of like, it's like the multiverse of American Pie.
Yeah, it's the Marvel verse.
Yeah, exactly. The American Pie verse. Like,
yeah.
I don't think one would affect the other, but at the same time, I was like, if there is any sort of, I don't want to step on any toes, so I politely declined.
Oh, okay.
And then in the recent one, someone, I'm friends with these magicians, and like they're also like actors, and this one guy hit me up and he's like, hey, so I saw like Kevin character in the new, American Pie film. I didn't know you were going to be a part of that. And I was like, what? Like, what are you talking about? So apparently, like, in the new one, they made one called, like, Girls Rules. So it's supposed to be, like, essentially, like, cock blockers, but for American Pie. So it's, like, the girls making but apparently, like, the main girl's dad in the script, I don't know. I haven't seen the film, so I don't know. But they named him Kevin. So I, like, got a hold of the script, and I read the thing, and I was like, kind of sounded like it could have been Kevin, but it was also like oddly in a multiverse. So I never heard from them. thankfully, because I would have also declined.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, is it the one? I think it's, I haven't seen, the only one that I have is the Naked Mile, and I haven't even watched that one yet. Just the original 4 is all I've seen. And it's like, I don't know. It's funny to me that they have it. It's great to, keep the characters going, but is there an American Pie 5? I just saw like posts the other day. Is this happening?
So the thing about it is like nostalgia is really big right now. John and Hayden, who, are known for the Harold and Kumar movies, they wrote and directed American Reunion.
Oh, okay.
They're also part of the creators of Cobra Kai.
Oh, wow. I did not know that. Okay. Yeah, I love Harold and Kumar.
Universal is circling the idea. I think it's just a question of, negotiations coming to terms, or I don't know. I mean, look, it's above my pay grade.
Yeah, right.
It's kind of like when you're getting a ride in your parents' car. You're kind of like, your parents are like, yeah, we might take you to the amusement park, and you're like, cool, when are we leaving? And then they just don't answer you.
Yep. Yep.
So that's pretty much where things are at right now. Like, mom and dad have said they want to maybe take us on the ride, but we just don't know if it's for sure happening or when.
Yeah, it's kind of like we'll ask one parent, then go ask the other type thing, and it's like which one's gonna get back with the actual of us actually going forward. But yeah, it's always been exciting. I'll probably go hopefully get to see it in theaters. That'd be awesome. In a couple of years, be like, hey, I know that guy. But it's just so cool. But it was just I wanted to ask because I saw the post you made, and I was like, all right, I gotta ask that too. I gotta ask that too to see if it's happening. But no, it's fun. Like they have all these different movies always in the works and all these things. And it's not just the movie. People think, the fans are like, oh, they could just make another one. Not really. There's producers, there's budgets, there's all this stuff. So we'll be here waiting for you.
Yeah. I mean, I know a lot of people are really, into it. And like I said, I know that Universal is circling the idea, but that's all the news I have.
And that's all right. No problem. Is there any new music in the works with you as well? I wanted to ask that.
Yeah, I'm currently slowly writing for my 7th album. So what I've done so far is I've written a song with Ace Enders from the early November.
Ooh.
And I've written, when I was working with Jarrett Reddick in the studio, writing the lyrics and recording 1999 in Dallas, Jarrett and I also wrote a brand new song, which is one of my favorite songs I've ever written. So these are 2 of the songs that'll be on album 7.
Excited.
Sort of in the works for future collabs is my best friend is Matt Kennedy, who's in The Dangerous Summer. So I'm definitely going to write a song with him and AJ Perdomo from The Dangerous Summer. I've been talking to Tom Higginson from the Plain White Tees. We're just trying to work out our schedules.
Very cool.
And then I'm also talking to the guys from Lit about writing a song with them. So there's at least an EP of collabs happening so far.
Remember when I played Rock Band and Lit was on, I forget what rock band it was one of them. And I'm like, they're always known for the one song, but they're really good. Like they're a really good band. There's so much more to them.
Right now, the new album from Band for Soup, Pop Snot.
Yeah, that was a great album.
It's a fantastic album, as well as Lit, Tastes Like Gold.
Oh, I'm going to have to check that one out. I haven't heard it yet. I'll have to check it out.
Oh, you have to hear Tastes Like Gold. I will check it
out. I'll put it in the episode too.
That I'll just keep my mouth shut. Oh, words are getting dangerous. That's like that song is stuck in my head daily. So they let me come to the Anaheim House of Blues and hang out with them at their album release concert, and I went up and sang The Last Time Again with them, which is on the soundtrack of American Pie.
Very cool.
Yeah, so that was a fun night, and then I think the night ended with me hanging out with Lit, and we were hungry, and it was pretty late at night, and Jeremy was like, let's order some food. So it was like literally 4 of us, and he spent $135 on Del Taco. We don't know how, because there was so much food. There was like so much food that Christian, who was his guitar tech, like literally left with a 12-pack of tacos that was not even open. Just like, I'm going to just take this 12-pack to go.
Oh, the luxury of being able to spend $135 on tacos. I will be there at one point. Now my manager's sweating.
Tacos, dude, on Del Taco.
Yeah, not just any.
What did
That's
you
right.
do? Buy one of everything?
It's like going to McDonald's and coming out with everything and like a Happy Meal, and you're
spend $135 at Del Taco. You have to order like, I'll have one of everything, please.
I'm sure the wait staff, or to say the counter staff, was like, yes. Like, what is this? Well, they were probably excited. They probably didn't even know who Lit was, which is sad. Like, I'm sure I don't know if anybody recognized you guys, but I mean, that's something so special though. Yeah, I mean,
well, we didn't go in. That was just
just a takeout. Even better.
Yeah,
they're just like, this is.
Listen, when you're hanging out with Lit, there's no showing face
no
morning.
No, there is not. My Own Worst Enemy is probably one of my all-time favorite songs by them, and of course was their big hit. But I always try to like dig deeper, so I'm definitely gonna have to do an episode of just Lit stuff, like for a block. That'd be awesome. And we'll put your.
Wait till you hear this new album, man.
I'm excited
this new
now.
Album is fire. Like,
now I got something to listen to.
Off a plane, Mouth Shut. Like the first single off of it. Like they went back to rock because they were doing country for a minute.
Wow.
And now they're back to their roots.
Well, we definitely would love to have you on the show in the future as well. I always throw this out there to come and co-host an episode if you ever wanted. You could pick your own songs and we could like do it together and talk why we picked them. So it'd be cool too in the future when you have some more free time, of course. We'd love to have you come on and like guest co-host the radio show. We did it with Matthew Claus and we did it with, we're supposed to do it with Pete Donnelly of the Figs, but we're still trying to work out that. So it'd be cool to have you again as well. I still got more questions, of course. But I don't know how much time you have left, but I wanted to ask about a couple more of your roles if you had time.
Sure, yeah.
How did Rules of Attraction Mitchell come about, playing Mitchell in Rules of Attraction there for you?
Well, I auditioned for Paul, actually.
Oh, wow.
But Roger didn't think that I was talented enough to play the role, but it wasn't the look that he wanted for the role. Obviously, Ian Somerhalder and I have, a vastly different, appearance. For what he wanted for it. So I remember him and Rick Montgomery called me after the audition and they're like, listen, we don't want to offend you. We love you. We think you're great. Would you remotely consider playing the role of Mitchell? It's a supporting character. And I was like, I would love to work with you. Yes.
That's awesome.
And then that's how that kind of all went down. But I remember Roger said, don't read the book. I want you to just come,
Oh, wow.
I'll tell you what backstory I want you to know. But I don't want you to get, drawn up into, some of the history that's there in Bret Easton Ellis's writing, and get too much in your head. So I, of course, agreed to it, and I just, followed him down the rabbit hole. That's one of my favorite films I've ever done.
Did you ever find yourself reading the book after?
No, I haven't because films are so vastly different.
Yeah.
And to me, it's such a great experience, and the way that Roger was allowing us to do dramatic improv, to the point where like he was just telling people secret things to say or do without telling the other actors. So, the camera would roll and you'd be like doing the scene, and then all of a sudden a curveball would just come at you from the other actor. And you just knew, like, stay in character. What would your character do? And,
wow.
make the choice. And so there's so many moments like that laden throughout the film for me. Like, I think, in fact, Ian Somerhalder, as Paul, I was there with Claire Kramer, who's playing, Mitchell's girlfriend, and Paul invites us back to his place. That was not in the script.
Oh, wow.
Watch my reaction to that. And I could just see my wheels turning of like, how am I going to take this in character and move forward from this?
And not break character either. Yeah.
Yeah. Not break character. Exactly. I mean, yeah, so many amazing moments like that in the film that I'm privy to, and I get to watch from, my own perspective. I don't know. I love that film.
Yeah.
Working with Roger is amazing.
I took 2 acting classes in college, and it was a lot of fun to learn like stage, like fighting and stuff like that, and like the small things, and then getting into character and getting circles and learning about things not to say on stage and the Shakespeare rules and all that as well. And as you got older, and now I work at a venue in music and I get to see the theater all the time, and I'm just so excited. But it was never acting was always exciting for me, but it was something that I felt more music side. So it's fun to talk with somebody that did both, and it's just cool to see that the book too being so separate as well. I always wonder if anybody like in the Giver cast ever read The Giver, because it's one of my all-time favorite books, and we had to read it in school too, so it was like kind of forced. And then I came to the turning point where I was so ready to read The Hobbit, because I love Lord of the Rings, love The Hobbit, was ready to go, and just my school decides that we're not going to do it this year, and I'm like, all right, guess I have to go write a report on something else. I was already ready to go, but it's so fun to see that movies can be so drastically different from the source material because you're giving it to a director. I know, I also took an American film class in college as well, and one of the ones we talked about was Kubrick, and it was like, oh gosh, like the freaking stuff he did to Jack Nicholson. No wonder why he was pissed off. It was terrible.
Here's the thing: is that most of the time books are so in depth and so elongated compared to the short format of a 90-minute or 2-hour film that one of the only times I've seen an adaptation that seemed like it actually expanded on the idea is Shawshank Redemption, one of my favorite films. But if you look at the story, it's a short story. It's it's part of 4 seasons. So, that's it's a novella, not a novel.
Gotcha.
And I think that's why that adaptation works in a different way because you've got a shorter format written story in the book.
Yeah. And I know
versus taking 700 pages and making it a 100-page script is you're just going to be making compromises and changes, creative choices all over the place.
Yeah, and it's just there's certain films that come out now and you want the film to touch audiences. You don't want them to feel like they don't know anything either. Because there's some people go to a film and never read the book either, the fans. And I know movies like Licorice Pizza just came out where they throw you through a twist and you're enjoying every moment. And then you're like, wait, could this been a dream or could it not? And there's always so many questions. And then there's just other movies like That Thing You Do that's straightforward and just tells you what it is. And quoting my favorite movies, of course, including American Pie too. But, they're straightforward and just tell you what it is. But there's also a lot of fun to it. And Tom Hanks is one of my favorite actors of all time. And it was just fun to see. I can't wait to go see the Elvis movie. I still haven't seen it yet. I need to see that. But I'm a big...
Have you by any chance checked out my latest offering? I produced a film that Lionsgate put out in theaters last year called Adverse.
I need to see that one because that's the one that brought you to the Producer Guild, correct?
No.
Oh, okay.
I joined the Producer Guild a few years ago. This is my 6th feature that I've produced with Brian Metcalf.
Oh wow! Okay.
And we just got the green light on some development funding for a studio film that we're just starting to work on. I think I just got the signed contract in yesterday.
Very cool.
So I can't really say too much.
No, I got you. Ooh, we got the scoop. I'll put that at the beginning of the episode. Draw people in.
Yeah, I can't tell you too much about it.
No worries.
Know that that's the next thing Brian and I are working on.
Very
and obviously, cool. Adverse, has an amazing cast: Mickey Rourke, Luke Phillips, Sean Astin, Penelope Ann Miller, and I play a character very dark and different than what people know me from. Maybe more in line with what you are mentioning with Rules of Attraction than previous films like American Pie or Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
I'll put it this way. My character doesn't believe in using firearms and using a tire iron for a good majority of the film. There's a sequence that Variety caught the homage to Old Boy.
Oh wow!
And I think my favorite inside story is our tech guy who was making the DCPs for theaters for the theatrical release. He sends a text message to me letting me know everything's done. He goes, by the way, after watching this film, you're no longer Thomas Ian Nicholas, you're Tire Iron Nicholas.
Oh, now I have to see this. Oh, wow. I'm going to have to see this. Do you know what streaming services is on at all? Or do I can, of course, try to find it and buy it, of course.
Yeah, I think Lionsgate is still doing the pay-per-view stuff.
Okay.
Like iTunes, and Amazon Prime.
Oh, okay.
You got to spend $3.99 to rent it for a day,
I might just do the $3.99 on Apple because I have Apple TV, so I'll probably do that. Yeah, I'll have to check it out. I don't mind doing that because I'd like to see that. And then I'll just text or email you what I think after I see it because I'm excited. Will do. I got one more career one for you. Actually going to throw a toss up here between the two I had listed. But I wanted to ask about Walt and Walt Before Mickey. What was it like to play Walt Disney himself?
It was an honor, to play Walt Disney. I had an entire 5 days to prepare for the role.
Wow.
But I was still happy to do it. I'm a huge, Disney fan.
Very cool.
And I am a sponge. Now that's a book that I read because I had to adjust a lot of the details in there. Walt Before Mickey reads like a bibliography, but I wanted to make sure that it was as accurate as possible. Now we still had to make creative choices because, he started and stopped and failed so many times at the beginning of his career that it was a little repetitive to show that in a filmmaking standpoint. But just tried to do honor to the role.
Yeah.
To the man, the myth, the legend. Walt Disney.
And I mean, he is. I mean, it's something so special, and you can't. That role is very delicate for people too. It's history as well. I mean, Walt Disney. I mean, Disney Corporation is probably the biggest company on the planet, and it's like such an honor to see. That you got to play it too, which is very cool. As a fan, it was like cool, and just so cool. And thank you for coming on. Really appreciate it. And if I need anything, I'll message you. But I think we're good. I think the only thing I wanted to do is get a radio ID from you where you're just saying, hey, who you are and you're listening to this and this. So I'll send you like a script for it, have you act on it. But I really appreciate this. And I do music too. So maybe sometime in the future we could work together on something. Would be amazing.
Yeah, it'd be fun, man.
Yeah, it would be awesome.
I'm all about collabs. So
awesome. Well, we would love to have you. We do one of our stories. I'm writing a book called Power Pop that's based on Big Star and Jellyfish, but it's a kind of a sci-fi fan fiction in a sense, but not a fan fiction, but it's a sci-fi record. This kid is addicted to records and he played all this stuff. Then halfway through the story, there's this whole daunting scene where like a robot takes over, and that's my record label's RoboJack, so it's kind of like a way to get the record label to have some kind of story to it. I'm just trying to be creative. But we're always we always do albums with like voice lines and stuff, so I'll keep you in the loop with that kind of stuff too. And thanks again. This is a huge honor. I've been wanting to get an actor on this show and somebody just to kind of that was also music, and I'm like, well, Rick Springfield one day, but then I'm like, no, I'm gonna go with Thomas Ian Nichols. So it's perfect.
Well, I'll give you one tidbit closer to Springfield or Springsteen. In 2006, I met Springsteen. I snuck backstage at the Dodger Stadium concert here in LA, and I told Bruce that I wanted to portray him in a movie one day with his blessing. He put his arm around me. He looked at John Landau, his manager, and he goes, "What do you think? Do you think we look alike?" And Landau was speechless, and Bruce didn't say no. So in my opinion, I have a yes. Oh, I don't have a no.
Well, there's biopics all the time now, so it's happening. So we'll have to see.
Watching Bruce go and do the the on Broadway stuff, I'm like, okay, he's getting closer to that biopic moment. Granted, he's still like going on a big tour in 2023, so I'm like, okay, not yet. Also, like, I love Bruce Springsteen, so I want to do the biopic and make sure that he like lives to see it. Because they do biopics when they wait till like the end. And then
no, it's like the Elton John one. At least he saw it
before it's done.
John, the Elton John one, he saw it, and he and his husband was part of the making of that, so it was pretty cool, and it was good. I enjoyed that one. I enjoyed the Queen one a lot. But again, Freddie Mercury wasn't here to see it. And then the Elvis one, same thing.
Elton John is a good example of someone finally being alive to see their
own story. It's crazy. No, I would love to see a Bruce Springsteen one.
That's a good example. I'm going to be like, listen, I don't want to go like as flashy as the Elton John movie, but I want you to live to see it first.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like sometimes I do podcasts. Like, okay, so I'm a big fan of a band called Klaatu. They became one of my all-time favorite bands, and they were like after the Beatles, and they were from Canada, and they were rumored to be the Beatles, so they kind of got stapled into history with this rumor. And I interviewed one of the guys, Terry Draper, and we became friends, and then we worked on music together, so on and so forth. But one of my questions was to him, did the rumor change you guys? Because now you're automatically assumed to be the Beatles. He goes, would we be talking today if there wasn't a rumor? But he goes, yeah, it kind of like took away from our wanting to be our own thing, but we're here, right? And it's always like that with things where you see where projects go, and it's just funny to see your own life on screen. I would love to have that. I want to be a legend, but you all got to start small somewhere, right?
Indeed.
Well, Thomas, we'll keep in contact. I'll text this number after, and I'll keep in contact with you. I'd love to hear up on future updates on the project. You're totally a friend of the show now, so I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me on, man.
No problem. Thank you so much. I'm going to watch Adverse. I'm going to get it. I'll rent it tonight if I have some time. If not, it'll be later this week, I promise you. And I'll let you know what I think.
Awesome, man.
Perfect. Enjoy your day, Thomas.
All right, you too.
You're tuned into Mad Wasp Radio, so don't forget where you are. Don't change that dial, you don't need to anyway.
And I do have some fun trivia questions for you about the movie to test you on your knowledge. So I got some of them are easy. There's only 3. So in honor of the 23rd birthday of American Pie, here we go with some trivia for you.
That's right, it's Don't Jeb and Drive sponsored trivia time.
We'll start with an easy one. What was Kevin's girlfriend name?
Vicky Latham.
Oh yeah, correct. And then the next one was, what did Kevin learn how to do in the Bible?
Tongue tornado, which was originally entitled the satin buzzsaw. It was a copyrighted term and we couldn't use it.
Oh, really? Interesting. Where was it copyrighted from?
In a sex manual.
Oh, there you go. Oh, that's funny.
Satin buzzsaw is a trademarked term. So
Did not know that.
Adam Hurst came up with tongue tornado.
And then the next one was, what is the most popular song on the American Pie soundtrack?
My song, My Generation. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, it's good. That's a great song.
I'm on the American Reunion one. Most popular song on
the original first movie soundtrack, it looks like, is what they're asking.
Now, when they say soundtrack, do they mean all the soundtrack or the soundtrack actual album that was released?
I think it's the album with the songs, like with the bands and stuff, because I found this online. I don't even remember the website, but it was like 23 questions, and I don't even know when they did it, but it was perfect for this idea, but I only like took 3 of them.
It's gotta be James Van Laid.
They put Tonic, You Wanted More.
That's a wrap, folks. He did get some right, he did get some wrong.